Neal Battaglia here, saxstation.com. Alright, so right now I want to talk about the fit between the cork and the mouthpiece. So right now, let me take the neck off. In general, I do recommend taking the neck off before taking off the mouthpiece or putting the mouthpiece on. So before you put the neck on the saxophone, put the mouthpiece on first. Before you take off the mouthpiece, take the neck off first. Basically, that prevents the neck from getting bent, which can cause problems that accumulate over time. Alright, so yeah, I wanted to talk about this fit between the mouthpiece. And basically, if I take this off, you can see it's a little bit snug. If I put it on, it takes a little bit of force to get it to where I want it to be. And I kind of know where it generally should be in the environment, the temperature that I'm usually in. That can change if it gets really cold or a lot hotter. You might have to adjust from your usual position. But in general, you kind of want to keep it about the same place. That's going to give you a result that should make you play mostly in tune. So right now, this took a little bit of force to put on. I could even put it on pretty close to the edge if I wanted to. I could put it on pretty far. It takes a little bit of effort to get it on farther than I usually play it, but that's actually not a bad thing. What was kind of funny is that when I was at the NAMM show a few weeks ago, I wanted to try a tenor, and it's the Selmer Reference 54 tenor. I thought it might be cool to play, and I put the mouthpiece on, and this happened. So basically, I mean, it has to do with the mouthpiece. Sometimes the mouthpiece is basically going to fit tighter or looser depending on how it interacts with the saxophone. So it's possible this was set up just for a different kind of mouthpiece, but I think it might have just been worn down because that's what happens with saxophone corks. As you use them over time, there's like friction from putting on and off. It can just wear down the cork. But I wanted to play the saxophone and I thought it was a new one, and it just went all the way to the bottom. No connection whatsoever. So it would have basically had air like leaking around the mouthpiece, and that wouldn't have been a good thing. And I mean, not a huge deal. I wasn't about to buy the saxophone, but I did want to try it, and it wasn't really set up for me to play with that mouthpiece. I'm not sure if anyone else there tried that particular saxophone and it worked with their mouthpiece. It might have, because again, the mouthpieces do have different fits with cork, depending on how big the diameter is of the mouthpiece, and same thing with the cork. But yeah, if you're finding that you can't be in the right position and it's too loose, you might need to get the cork replaced. One trick you can do actually is you can use like a hairdryer and you can heat up the cork. That will maybe get some of the water out and expand the cork a little bit. One time on my clarinet, I think I used matches, and I basically got a flame, and I was doing the same thing. But the problem with that is that on a clarinet especially, you tend to use cork grease sometimes. And there's 4 different pieces of cork on the clarinet. So these pieces of cork that have a bunch of cork grease on them ended up being pretty flammable, and accidentally got a little bit of the cork a little bit black. It didn't set on fire or anything, but in general, you probably don't want to use a flame for this. You want to use a hairdryer. And a hairdryer, I don't think that's going to burn the cork. Maybe it's possible it could. You want to be a little bit careful still, but using the hairdryer on the cork is going to be pretty safe to maybe expand it a little bit if that's what you're going to do. And sometimes you switch your mouthpiece, and maybe your new mouthpiece doesn't fit quite the same way as the other one did. So you might need it a little bit like more compressed, or a little bit even shaved down a little bit. And if you get someone to replace your cork for you, you can give them your mouthpiece and have them kind of get a fit for it that will work for you. If you're getting it yourself, you probably could do it yourself. It's not the hardest repair in the world to do, but you still do want to be careful. And it could go a little bit wrong if you do make some mistakes. And if it's ended up being too loose, then you can use the hairdryer to expand it a little bit. Neal Battaglia, saxstation.com.